3, 2, 1. Here we go. Eat your vegetables, my mom would always say. And I'd get it from my grandmother too. And little did I know that habit was something that my mom drilled into me day in, day out, is to eat my vegetables. And to this day, I do need to thank her, because had she not forced me to eat those vegetables, I'd be eating sugar and a lot of excess food that maybe isn't really healthy for you. So I feel like I had this discipline instilled in me at a very young age about eating your vegetables. And I think it's an important thing. It's not something everyone likes to eat. Vegetables don't have taste. If your taste buds are used to the more sweet, sugary items, then it's a little bit more challenging to enjoy vegetables. But I suppose I'm talking about vegetables here because if you want to live an amazing, fulfilled life, you should maybe consider what your diet is, what it's consisting of, what you're fueling your body with day in and day out. And I think eating your vegetables is a pretty good start. You don't have to change anything about your diet, but right now, if you ate more vegetables, you'll notice a difference in your health. You'll notice vibrancy, energy, levels of these that you've never seen before. When you eat real food, you feel like a real person. You feel energized, you feel ready to tackle the day. Whereas sugar puts you in a state of high and low, and I run into sugar issues all the time. I have a serious sugar addiction because sugar is so addicting. I can go on for hours just talking about sugar, and maybe I will in another podcast, but I want to focus on filling your body with vegetables so you can curb those cravings for other things. More vegetables you eat, and the less you eat of the other garbage, the more your body will get used to this adjustment. At first, you might feel sick because you're not used to eating such real food. Well, don't let that stop you. See what happens a couple days later. See what happens when you fill your body with nutritious food. My vegetables are uncooked. I typically eat a lot of vegetables in the means of a salad, the means of a side dish next to meat or legumes. I'll have the vegetables next to these other food groups. So maybe you're thinking, I gotta cook my vegetables. You can do that. I recommend you don't cook them too long because raw vegetables taste pretty good without having to cook them. I'm a really plain individual though. I don't add too much in the way of spices. Some olive oil and lemon juice works for me. I have a blender, so I make a smoothie every day, and that allows me to eat more vegetables. There's no way I could eat half a bag of spinach on a plate. But with a blender, I can go crazy with it. I can blend to my heart's content. Same goes for broccoli and snap peas and zucchini. So many different foods you can blend in there. And what was odd to me when I was thinking about it as a child, even though I was told to eat my vegetables, I felt like if I had a blender when I was young, I could have blended even more food. I could have had more vegetables. But nonetheless, I'm doing that now. I'd recommend that most of your plates are filled with vegetables. Most people don't eat enough vegetables. They don't even eat 50% of their plate in vegetables. It's either high intensity carbs that aren't even that good for you. It just ruins your ability to be creative throughout the day. It ruins your ability to think cognitively, to have any kind of energy. I mean, you don't even know what it's like until you eat more vegetables. You see, it's almost like a replacement for medication. I look at a lot of people and they're on medications. Know tons of people. And they're just on medications. And that's what they do. They just have medications every single day. That's their thing. But the problem with that is you're not giving yourself the vitamins needed. You're just putting a bandage on yourself. But the wound isn't healing. So when you take the bandage off, you fall apart. And you're being held together by a bandage. That's what medications are. And some medications are necessary. I'm not saying they're all unnecessary, but the majority of the medications that we take today are unnecessary. Some medications actually cause more harm. That being said, we don't have the answer to somebody who has some issues with their weight, so we give them medications to solve their heart problems. We don't tell them, hey, maybe you should have some vegetables. Maybe you should go and exercise. Maybe you should have less of this and more of that. We don't educate them on those particular processes. We just say, here you go. Here's your medication, because we know you're not going to make the effort to go and do what you need to do to get better. But that's not really the case. If we were to spend that time and money and medications on education, then maybe people wouldn't need to be on the medications. Of course, that wouldn't be good for pharmaceutical companies, so we can't have that. But that's why we have the internet, and that's why we have the ability to educate ourselves and figure out, hey, there's another way. Like, I'm a diabetic. Do I have to be a diabetic? I'm not myself, but I'm just using that as an example. Like, the answer is you might not have to be. Maybe it's something in your diet that's causing these insulin spikes. So that might be something to check out. There's a lot of trendiness as far as veganism. I'm sort of impartial to it. I'm probably like 90 to 95% that individual, but I'm not doing it for ethical reasons. It's like health reasons. I'm actually fine with eating chicken every now and then. I don't mind it. At the end of the day, as long as I'm filling myself up with lots of vegetables, I feel like that's been a good, successful day. It's been a nutritious day for me. And, you know, I can look at that and say, yeah, that's a good day. I ate the right kinds of foods. And I think to be human, you need to have your cheat days, right? You need to treat yourself every now and then, especially if this is new to you. Then maybe eating your vegetables isn't the easiest thing. So maybe start with something delicious. Like carrots are like higher in sugar than most vegetables. So it might be something to try. Do something with carrots and start with cooked carrots and add some salt and oil and whatnot and make it as tasty as you'd like, and slowly, gradually just start adding in other different vegetables. Experiment. I mean, on my end, my system's really simple. I blend something and I have 2 drinks set for the next 2 days, and then that's pretty much it. I've done my experimentation. I pretty much got it down to a T as far as what my smoothie is, so I don't have to think about it. It's like I just throw these ingredients in, blend it, and I'm good to go. And I suggest you have a system that's so effortless that you do it, and then it prevents you from going and doing something silly like eating 12 donuts. I'm certainly guilty of that. I'm not preaching being perfect here, right? I'm not that person, but I can tell you the benefits of eating your vegetables, and that could literally change your life, especially if you're running into health concerns. Then this could be the number one solution. And I don't have to talk about the science behind it. It's all there. Since I could remember, since before I was born, they always told me to eat my vegetables. So this isn't new. And if anyone's fighting the idea of eating their vegetables, well, look in the mirror and realize, like, is this the person you want to be? Is this the person you think you can be, or do you think you can be somebody better? And maybe eating your vegetables is your next step to being better. Certainly, you feel more confident in the fact that, like, you look back in that day and you say, I ate these healthy foods. Like, I feel psychologically better for having done that. Whereas if you look back and you're like, I had like those cookies and cakes and ice cream cones. If you look back on that, you might feel a little disappointed. Like, why did I do that to myself? Of course, if you're okay with eating those things, then okay. But if you're looking at yourself and you have a low self-esteem, then maybe your diet can help with your mood. As it's been shown that it can help. It can help with your emotions and keeping everything in check, keep everything on an even keel, and that's what you want. You don't want these ups and downs. That's not healthy for you. Since eating more and more vegetables, I've felt 10 times better. I didn't have any reason to do it. I've always been healthy, but I've just increased my number of vegetables, and my skin's softer. I've less issues related to skin issues. Like, I think vegetables just really help overall with your immune system. So if I do get sick, it doesn't affect me as much. I seem to recover. I can go and exercise for longer, and I seem to recover quicker. Now, I'm getting older, but I don't feel like I'm getting weaker. I feel like I'm getting stronger. I'm not really doing too much in terms of like lifting weights, as you can tell by my skinny self. So I'm not a huge weightlifting fan, but I know I need to do that. But the vegetables seem to really be helping me out. So that's what I really want to say in this session, is to eat your vegetables. Your mom is right. She knows what she's talking about. Eat your vegetables. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.